Hey guys, welcome back to the NTB Film Podcast. I'm David Tyler Sheets. I hang out with lifelong friends and talk about movies. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. All right, episode 5. He-Man. Masters of the Universe. First takes. You haven't told me at all what you thought, except for you've just made fun of various parts of it.
I don't know.
So,
I was trying to get into like what it was presenting itself as, like the whole time. Like with Mando and Grogu, it was like, oh, okay, this is what this is. This is TV show, fun, Western, and it's not anything more. It's not trying to be anything more. And it's like I know what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
And I felt like it took me a while to actually like get into figuring out what it's trying to be. Like I was not sure if it was like, is this serious? Is this self-aware? Or is this kind of being goofy? And it took me like a moment. It took me until Skeletor's like first speech
where he
like,
laughed and it stopped.
Yeah, he does like the whole, what is it, like Dr. Evil thing.
Yeah.
He's like laughing on his own.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah.
Yeah. And I
Full
was like, oh, okay, this is just trying to be funny. I mean, I thought it was, but I was like, well, maybe this is just for kids. And so then the action is being like really hyperbolic, with the electric guitar, like.
Yeah, I couldn't tell it was. I at no point felt like I knew what kind of movie it's trying to be. Like the jokes,
Like all the way until the end.
It was like some of the jokes landed. A lot of it was acknowledging how silly the idea, like a lot of the ideas of the 80s were. The joke about his name being He-Man at the end. But then everything with Skeletor, that's what it is? Skeletor. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything with Skeletor was like, have you watched any of the cartoons?
Yeah, I watched
or anything?
the show when I was a kid. Like,
okay.
A little bit.
Was the one that you watched, was it like from the 80s? Probably, if it was when you were a little kid, it would have been the 80s one. So
I had some toys.
Oh yeah?
Some He-Man toys.
So Skeletor is like that kind of thing, and just like really lame. And even in the show, he is lame and kind of supposed to be lame. Like He-Man pretty easily defeats him pretty often, is what I'm getting kind of the gist that I got. So I feel like they were trying to play on that, while also, and this is maybe why it was kind of confusing to me, so that was Jared Leto, I believe, was him. And I felt like they did him like really, like it was pretty haunting. Like if they didn't try to make him funny, it was like, you're kind of a haunting villain, and like, at least
I didn't get that.
You didn't at all?
No, I just thought it was kind of funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would have felt that if they didn't make jokes about him the whole time?
I don't know. The whole tone of the movie was so all over the place. It was like it's really hard for me to get I can't even do like I'm gonna have a hard time critiquing this movie. Like critically, like, oh, this was wrong and this was wrong. It was just like the tone was so all over the place, and and then a couple things hit.
Yeah.
And then a lot of things didn't hit.
It felt like until that laugh, when he like continued laughing and they did the Dr. Evil thing, it was like a semi-serious movie, not a serious movie, but like a fun adaptation that had some like kind of funny jokes. Like we were laughing when he was at the date, and it was like, that's silly, but it wasn't the same type of humor as like this is dumb. Like, and we all know it's dumb and silly, and this villain isn't really terrifying.
Yeah.
He jokes around. He's like Dr. Evil. Yeah, like a lot of it. So I felt like even though there was humor that landed, it was like different types of humor the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
like switching
know.
Constantly.
Yeah. So I was gonna share. I haven't shared this with you because I was looking up stuff earlier and looking at the history of this and what makes it so interesting to me. And the reason that I laughed at the beginning when I was like, "Oh, Amazon Studios did this," is because Masters of the Universe in general, what I've gathered is it's like the most capitalistic kind of lore, and just the way that it came up is incredibly capitalistic compared to like many other things. So Mattel created the toy. So
Yeah,
it was a
It was
toy,
a toy
first.
Yeah, I think I recall that.
And they
You're right.
created the toy. You mentioned Barbie. They created the toy to make something for boys because Star Wars had come out, 5 years previous in 1977 and was selling like crazy. And apparently Mattel passed on getting to like distribute Star Wars stuff. And so then Star Wars was making all this money, so they were like, we need something to compete with Star Wars. So that's why they created this like macho thing for boys. They called him He-Man, which is so funny. Like, well, we've got the Barbie. Yeah. Now we've got He-Man for the boys. So then they created the toy, and then from the toy, they were like, we need some lore with this. So then they had comics go with it, and then there were like descriptions kind of creating the lore on the actual boxes. Yeah, I could be wrong about some of this. It was just like what I had researched. And then they worked with DC Comics to create stuff, and the lore kind of kept growing. He actually is in a comic book with Superman. Like there's a Superman and He-Man comic that DC did.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting that they didn't just do like buy the rights to like Conan the Barbarian or something.
Yeah. So they passed on Conan the Barbarian too.
Okay. Yeah. So they were desperate.
Yeah. They were like they didn't want to do. Yeah, they didn't do it. I think this movie coming out, and there was a movie in the 80s as well that was like terrible, and the one that Dolph Lundgren is in, or it did terribly. I haven't seen it, so maybe it's really fun, but definitely feels very like 80s, like that decade trying to do CGI. But it's so interesting to me to go like, you saw what Star Wars did, which was a movie that was all about the story, and then they sold a bunch of toys. But then it's also interesting because it's like, but you also did sell toys with nothing behind it, and your strategy kind of worked. And now we're in 2026, and you're creating a giant Hollywood blockbuster, which ironically did terrible. So when I saw that it was produced by Amazon, it was just so funny to me of being like, what even is this IP? This is just like no creative person, like no story-minded person was involved in the creation of this IP. It was just like, how can we sell a toy? Yeah. Whereas you look at something like Star Wars, it's like George Lucas is writing and coming up with lore, and he loves story. And so, I don't know. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that is really fascinating. I'm looking up who the director is. Travis Knight. What else he's done?
Of this one?
Mm-hmm. Do you know? Have you already looked it up?
No, I haven't looked at that.
Paranorman. He was a producer. The Box Trolls, Kubo and the Two Strings, which I heard.
Did he direct that?
Decent. Yeah, director and producer.
Yeah, that was like highly praised.
Yeah, and then Bumblebee.
I saw it too. It was good. Oh, he directed Bumblebee.
Oh, and then he did Wildwood, that one that we just saw on the trailer for.
Yeah.
The one that's like Coraline or whatever. So
that was really good.
I don't know if it looked good or not. It had a freaking awesome M83 song in the trailer, which made it look cool.
It looked visually stunning.
I actually don't think I've seen any of these. I didn't see Bumblebee. I didn't see Kubo.
Okay, speaking of that Wildwood trailer, it was like a bunch of kind of fantasy, and this movie's fantasy sci-fi as well. But I'm curious what you think of. There's fantasy that's like Wizard of Oz, where there's like a story, and it takes place in kind of an undefined world, and there's a bunch of random creatures, and there's no like known background lore to anything. It's just kind of like we're in fantasy land. Or like the Wildwood looked, which was where, there's just random kind of creatures of various kinds that pop up in different moments.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like Pilgrim's Progress, it feels like.
Sure. Yeah.
I know that's different too, but
yeah, that's very specifically allegorical. But I guess I'm wondering, how much does lore matter to you when you're watching a fantasy movie? Like, is it important to you that you're like, there's a background to all this? Or are you like, no, I can just kind of roll with the punches. Oh, there's a pig. Yeah. Like, because this is a like absolute lore mess.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s, apparently they had someone draft like a Bible, like a He-Man or like Masters
story
of the
Bible.
Universe Bible. But then even since then, it's like the shows have gone on and done their own thing.
I don't know. I think I think fantasy, that's just what it feels like fantasy really like is. Maybe that's not true. It like fantasy where you're watching Lord of the Rings and then obviously there's the people who get into Silmarillion and whatever, but to me it's like, oh, that guy's magic. He can do magic. And like I don't need to know why the person can do magic. I can just be like, oh, this guy does really good magic.
Sure.
And it's like, okay. And if that's being presented and there's like some semblance of consistency within that world, it's like, okay, not everyone can do magic, but that guy can do magic. And you can kind of tell it's like, but I can't do like crazy magic, you know. It's like if there's some consistency, then I'm good with it, and I can just receive whatever. Or if it's like Dungeons and Dragons, the most recent Chris Pine movie, which is kind of a comedy as well. But yeah, I'm just all in. It's like, oh, this is everything's crazy. Monsters coming out from everywhere. That's fine. Like I'm totally fine with it. I don't need super consistent lore or I don't know. Yeah.
I don't necessarily need it either, but I think it adds like a lot. Like even in Lord of the Rings, which is the ultimate of fantasy, even though they don't dive into like, wait, who is Gandalf and Saruman? What are the Maiar? And all this like background stuff. There's just things throughout where you get background, like you're one of the Dunedain, and then she kind of says what they are, and then you move forward. Right. And you don't get that when it's like, this is just kind of fun, and we generally know what goblins do, and
well, the examples I shared like are mostly they have like a comedic element, like the Dungeons and Dragons movie is like really comedic heavy, and so if it's either almost comedic or if it's like clearly like this is for children, like, and then I can just get into that mindset. I'm like, okay, it's a kids movie. But I'm trying to think of other ones like it's like, okay, this is fantasy and it's trying to get me to engage with it seriously. And then it does kind of have to do like what you're saying, where it's like, okay, it's trying, like Harry Potter a little bit. Obviously that's a kids movie too, but it is trying to like be somewhat consistent. You could obviously poke holes in all sorts of things.
Yeah, but they do stuff. There's some quality that makes you feel like the world is bigger. And the same thing with even like the original Star Wars, where I know George Lucas had a bunch of like other writings and kind of a lot of different thoughts out there for what he might do, prequels, sequel, like all that kind of stuff. And there's even like, he didn't really know that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father. So it was still developing, but something about the way that the scenes unfold and the places that they go make the world feel like whole.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like a sense of place, like going to Mos Eisley, or just the way that you develop those different like spaces that they're in, them feeling like lived in is something that I feel like when all the creatures just get meshed together, it's like, this doesn't feel like it has any kind of, it's grounded, like it's grounded at all.
And I specifically feel like there's like a larger version of it where it's like, oh, we've created this larger lore that we're drawing from, but then there's also just like smaller things, like scene to scene, like in He-Man that we just watched. I can't think of a bunch of them, but there felt like there were a lot of things that were like, oh, okay, so they're trying to get the sword out of his hand, but then it doesn't matter if the sword's out of his hand.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, then what's the point? But then what makes him become not He-Man? I guess if he gets knocked out, then that makes him not. I don't know.
It was really confusing. Like, he dropped the sword.
Yeah. So then it matters scene to scene, or it like matters in scene for the stakes. It's like, what are they trying to do? So like, obviously he's He-Man, so he's like invincible-ish because he's couldn't be hurt by like, he's been hit a ton,
right?
Okay, so he's invincible. So then they think that maybe if they bring out their strongest guys, then we're supposed to be like, oh, those are the really strong guys. Yeah. But he's invincible, right? Because that's the whole reason why Skeletor wants the sword. Because then he...
Right, the rules of the world were not only not established, but inconsistent throughout. Like they broke what had already been shown. Like I was confused in his normal life, which they were kind of trying to make him seem like dweebish, but it was like he's clearly
He's clearly
jacked and
jacked.
very attractive.
Yeah.
Like he's already He-Man.
They needed like a Michael Cera or
Yeah.
something, and then he just turns into, he just transforms. Like that would have been hilarious.
That would have been amazing.
I mean, it really was. Okay, I want you to finish your sentence, but it's just like this guy is so clearly a hunk.
Yeah.
And like
Everyone's like, who are you? You're pathetic. It's like, he's stronger than you are. Like, he looks stronger than you do.
and then even his clothing, like they were playing it off like he was embarrassed about his clothes. They're like, is that what everybody wears? I don't remember what it said, but it was just like, oh, he's wearing a button
Like, it looks
shirt
nice.
and jeans. I don't know. Is it like supposed to be like really embarrassing and nerdy or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's so what I was going to say is like, he jumps off that bridge, for instance, as a human.
Yes.
And lands on the ground. It was
and
like,
smashes his head.
Oh, he's fine. So, okay, so he's a super, like, he's already like as strong as, I don't know, who's a suit, like Captain America. It's like, you're already like that, but you never realized that in your whole, I don't know. And whatever, you're not supposed to think about it, but you do when those rules become inconsistent.
Yeah, and it takes energy, and I'm expending energy to try to keep further suspending my disbelief. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Like, the guy who's the king's hand, Idris Elba can be like, oh, he's like such a great, strong, confident man who's giving good advice, and then he is an alcoholic, and then was an alcoholic so much so that he designed his suit to have a flask in it that he could like equip like a sword, like oh, it's pretty good. Like so he always was an alcoholic.
He's always had a little drink ready.
And also same with like, yeah, again, this isn't like lore stuff. It's just like it's like general consistent filmmaking, like character building. It's like, okay, so the father was like always, we saw him basically communicate and messages to his son, which is like, you need to be strong. That's what being a man is. Yeah. And then I won't accept you until then. And then later he's like, no, I was always just wanting you, like, to protect you, or he's like, I don't know. It's just like, no,
I don't know. They were making the point, that like, I only wanted you to be strong because I love you, not because you needed to be something for me.
But then we watched that not be true because, like, they make the joke. There were so many times when they were trying to make jokes at the expense of character building.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, at the beginning of the movie when Idris Elba's character's like, look, he'll turn back. Your father's going to turn back to like acknowledge you, like stand tall, like, and so he's trying to redeem the father. Yeah. And then the father just like walks away, and it's like,
they never came back.
They don't come back to it. So it's like, okay, what that communicates to me is that the dad, the king, is kind of a douche. Like,
yeah.
Or I don't know. It's saying something, but really it's just that, oh no, I think the writers were just trying to make a joke and be like silly and self-deprecating as a movie, but then you didn't build your character.
Yeah.
And one of the big things here, I felt like it felt so much like they were trying to emulate the tone and even just the world of Thor Ragnarok. Like the music.
Oh, sure.
The, I don't know, just everything. The kind of half magic, it's obviously that's the He-Man universe is kind of like Asgard and the lore from Thor. But I just felt like they really leaned into it. Idris Elba was the right-hand man of the king, which is the true, thing from Thor. But the thing about Thor Ragnarok is it really did this, I don't know, a pretty special thing of walking the line of humor, but then having these serious moments. Some of that is because you've already developed the characters, you've already developed Loki, you already had Chris Hemsworth Thor and all this type of stuff. But I'm having a really hard time with exactly why He-Man didn't work in this way, and it just didn't. It's hard for me to put words to it.
I feel like they just didn't pick a lane, or they picked whatever the lane they picked was like let's give ourselves the ultimate freedom to just make jokes where we want. And as we're writing, like, that's kind of funny. Doesn't really fit the rest of it, but it's funny, and I'll get a few chuckles there. And do you feel like, what do you feel like is the closest comparison to this movie? I feel like it's the Dungeons and Dragons, like the newest Dungeon. Like when I was watching it, I was comparing it to that in my mind.
It's hard because, yeah, maybe in some ways it failed so much work. I mean, I thought Dungeons and Dragons was so good.
Me too. Yeah, it was
and
hilarious.
But yeah, I guess in terms of what, like
other movies that have come out in the last 10 to 20 years that are like, this is working with an IP to try to capitalize off of it and then they've kind of, whoever owns the intellectual property is just thinking, I want to make some money off of this, so I'm going to strategize to be able to bring something together to make money. And what it feels like is like, we're also not going to invest. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. We're not going to invest so much time into it. We're just going to do what almost feels like the bare minimum to create a blockbuster. So let's just attach the people, almost like old Hollywood style of like, bring on the people, have them do it, and then let's push it out.
Yeah. Well, Dungeons and Dragons is a really good comparison in the sense that as far as the general audience, me, as far as we know, there's like no storyline. So they can just start it from the get-go. They have a universe where they can do anything they want to do. They can build any story they want to build. And I don't know who's this main actor. What has he done?
I don't know.
They probably would have done a lot better if they would have had I felt like he was terrible.
I don't know that I felt he was terrible, but I think he was a weak point, and it was when I compared it with Dungeons and Dragons, and that's the main thing that came to mind is, okay, this movie's not succeeding. Dungeons and Dragons, I believed it okay. Like, I think it made its money back and then profited, and obviously now it's...
I think it flopped. I thought it kind of...
Did it?
That's what I thought. I looked it up before. I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong then, but I don't...
Maybe it's considered a flop, but then technically
it'll go on.
It'll go on. I don't think they're going to make a sequel.
Okay.
I wish they would. I love Dungeons and Dragons so much.
But I was thinking, like, that's got Chris Pine in it, and he can carry a movie. In this, Idris Elba was the biggest name. I mean, Alison Brie was in there. She's not any bigger.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto, you don't see his face. Kristen Wiig was a robot. So it's like you cast these A-listers as faceless people. But it really felt like if this main character was just someone I recognized, I would just enjoy it more. That's just kind of what star power does.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I think there's a problem inherent with the character is what it feels like, because I'm not trying to just crap on this actor.
Yeah.
It really felt like it was like, this isn't like funny. The type of thing they're doing is like, okay, so Chris Pine in Dungeons and Dragons, he plays a really common archetypal role where it's like, oh, you're kind of this overconfident, in a certain sense, imbecile. Like, but sometimes you're right and your heart is good. And it's like, but you're just, I'm actually kind of forgetting. Is that in line with
just the general character?
Yeah.
I think he has, honestly, he didn't really have much of heart to be like.
Well, no, he wanted to save his daughter. I'm talking about in
Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I saw it one time.
I felt like that was, I saw it twice. And my point is that this guy, it's like, okay, he's it's almost like in Minecraft with Jason Momoa. It's like, oh, he's like really actually strong, but then he's actually, that wasn't him. This character is dweeby in a specific sense of like, oh, he's like dancing a little bit when he's supposed to be fighting, and he's scared a lot. And you almost felt like they're going to go the direction of like, oh, it's okay to not be like, to be like that. It's okay to not be into fighting. And then they were going to like glorify these other aspects of him. Like, oh, he's in human resources and he's all this. But then they just used all of that. They just made fun of that stuff. They were like, no, they weren't saying this outright, but in a certain sense, like all the human resources people are weird and dumb. And then all of his strategies of like non-violent trying to discuss, they all flopped, and he was terrible
it's
at
like
it.
they don't matter when things get down to it.
That was
it's like what it was showing.
That's what was showing on the screen. And so it was like, okay, so what are they trying to say? And then they were also making fun of him for being dweeby. So okay, going back to your question to me, what movie is like this? And I would say Barbie in a different sense. So Barbie, it's obviously it's Mattel, and then it's a huge movie about gender and about what it is to be a woman and to be a man, and it just touched on all these topics, and I thought Barbie I really liked it, like it and regardless of it had all sorts of messages flying around, and it was trying to promote all sorts of things, what it is, what a woman can be, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be, a man can have feminine qualities, a woman can have traditionally masculine qualities. And, it's trying to say all these different things. And then this specific one, this specific movie, He-Man, he was like going to the trading card store, and you were almost thinking that it was going to be like, oh yeah, the woman in Barbie who, she was playing with dolls when she was like an older woman, and then other people were kind of making fun of her. Yeah, she worked at Mattel, and she was kind of like rediscovering her childhood, and so it was promoting like it's okay to be childish sometimes. It's okay to like dream like a child dreams, and it's okay to like, I don't know. That seemed like what it was, what they were working on there. And in this movie, it felt like it could have gone that direction, where like, it's like he's drawing all these like, monsters and characters and knights, and he's being a child. He's doing what, the boy version is like, oh, I'm playing with guys and whatever. And so it almost felt like they were going to be like, you don't have to pretend to be an adult. It's okay to embrace that childish side. And then they just were making all of those aspects of him, all of, going to the comic book store and all the dweebs and losers at the comic book store. They were just like totally shitting on all of that, all that stuff. And so it's like, okay, so it's not that. It's not okay to be that way. And then it's only okay. You're only going to save people when you have the magical power of the sword.
And then the whole weird ending where it's like the power's not in the sword. The power is in you. What is the saying? I have the power. And it was just, I was just so confused because that message did not feel present anywhere else in the movie at all. Like nothing seemed like it was going there.
Well, and then he said it, and then he did have the sword.
Yeah, and then the sword came back together.
So the sword came back
because of his own power. Was it?
From his own power, but then he put the sword away, and then he tried to talk it out. And even when they were trying to show that version in a more positive light, like, oh, it's okay. It's like he's trying to, it flopped in the most crucial ways with my like worldview, ideologies, religion, because he was like, oh, I'm trying to talk this out. He fails. The bad guy is pure evil. So it's like, okay, you're not showing me a positive message about how talking cannot lead to violence.
Sure.
So then he's like, I'm not going to use violence, but it was like, really, it was only that he was not going to use his sword and he was going to use his hands. So he did use, and he was just absolutely annihilating with his hands, just destroying him.
Could have equally killed him. Like he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't have full understanding of how if he was going to die or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once he did that, the most important message to me, which is mercy, he didn't have that. He was like, okay, now I'm willing to talk. And he was like, talk, it's too late to talk. It was like, what? Like, even regardless of whether you're Christian or whatever you are, it's like, it seemed like it was in line with the type of thing where it's like, oh yeah, we should be willing to always discuss. And it was like, nah, it's too late now. I kicked your ass and I'm going to do it even more. Like, just like, I don't know. It just felt like it really like, fumbled every ideology that it was trying to present in any message, regardless of whether I agreed with anything. I was trying to grasp on, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, it was really confusing. And there was a really interesting moment too where Idris Elba says, like, he says something about like when war comes, it's not the poets who fight, it's the warriors and whatnot. It's like that made me think.
Yeah.
but then it was like, so what is your point then? Is it just that like those things aren't important? Because every moment that those things could like the softness and the nuance and thoughtfulness, even like mercy, those are, you know, bigger ideas. But anytime that those non-violent responses were presented, they were the wrong option.
They were made fun of.
They were made fun of. Yeah. We were all supposed to laugh at them. And, you know, we all knew. And if I was there in real life and he was like, let's talk it out to these people, we would all be like, that's a dumb idea. Like, crazy, jawless, absolute demon is not going to like change his ways.
Yeah. It is interesting. I don't know. I think it's really interesting because it does feel like there was an opportunity for promoting or valuing some semblance of like nonviolent message of some sort. I can't imagine being able to do that. Like, I can't sit there and be like, well, they should have done this. It's like, I don't know how to write that. I don't know how. Maybe you can write some guy, like, I don't know, like a Captain America type of person who like offers peace. And then the bad guys, I don't know. I can't imagine doing it well. So it's like, I feel bad critiquing it because I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but you definitely didn't. Yeah. It's like, it didn't work. But I think the key thing is that, you know, unlike Barbie, where I felt like there was some degree of like, okay, I can kind of see the message you're going with, and it's not fresh in my mind because I haven't seen Barbie recently, but I do remember being like, yeah, I kind of get what they're trying to say. And that's just what they're giving messages here. It almost felt
Barbie
like this
was very explicit. Like the message was very explicit to where it was being spoken at length with soliloquies.
Yes.
So,
but they were trying to give messages in this multiple times that went like, "Is that what it is to be a man?" Like they like kind of said that,
sure,
and you could tell it's like, "Oh yeah, you're trying to show us what masculinity is," and then it's almost like more accurate with the times we live in. Where like, you know, you have like incels and all these type of people and that are like, what do you want? You know, men, it is a common thing that men feel. They're like, what do you want us to be? Because apparently, you know, if you want us to be like serve and protect, like the you know, Idris Elba's character, and then the woman's like, oh, he's just an alcoholic, so you're gonna like do what he says. And so it's like, okay, so not that. And then it's like, oh, well, then you're kind of like dweeby and dorky. And then we're just going to laugh at that. And then you're going to call yourself He-Man and we're all going to like die laughing at that. Yeah. And then you're going to draw pictures and you're going to try to, and that's dumb. So it's just like, it just feels like it's true to what the place masculinity does have in culture right now, where it's just like, I don't know what, there's not really one thing that's going to satisfy everybody. That's for sure. And so, and you certainly didn't give any. Well, if there was anything they showed, not told, but showed, it was that like a man is somebody who is willing to fight when they have to fight. They didn't say that. What they said at the very end is they had that random character come on screen.
Yeah, he's a normal character in the show, but
yeah, it was just,
it was not in the
random. And then he was like, he was like, oh, what it means to be a man. I wrote it down. It was like empathy.
He said, we learned.
Oh, yeah. We learned today that muscles don't necessarily make the man. It's understanding, empathy, and humanity.
That's what he said.
Understanding, empathy, and humanity. Yeah. And that the muscles don't necessarily make like a man. I'm not sure. I might have wrote it down right. And then in the post-credit scene, they had the thing that said, we have the power. Because they certainly were like flirting with the idea of like, you know, he wanted to go off on his own, and that was kind of an overly not good quality of masculinity, so he needed to be a part of the team, and so they were trying to work that in there, and I just think that they just couldn't pick a route.
Yeah.
Didn't deliver.
Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest problems, there's a lot of problems, it was just the IP itself. So if you look at, like, with the messaging, if you look at Barbie has always been and maybe less so, and it's progressed over time, but it's always been kind of, there is a history with it of being progressive, of being like Barbie, and we've got all these different kind of Barbies, and let's make sure that like girls,
Yeah,
they
this is
can
what
grow up
women
and
can
have
be.
these careers, so that it was like kind of inherent. Whereas like He-Man is just is the opposite. It's just about how men can be more masculine.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
not-
a boy can
yeah.
dream about being the ultimate man in the traditional masculine things of more muscles, more sword, and more destruction and violence, and cool bad guys that I can slice.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And so I'm giving no opinion about any of that, any of the messages there. I'm just pointing out that inherent to what He-Man is and why He-Man was developed, and even just from the idea of we have Barbies, we need something for boys. What do boys like? Boys like the manliest thing, because look at Conan, and look at I guess Luke Skywalker is not particularly overly manly in the way that Han is, but anyway, so let's create this thing that's just as masculine. The whole point of it is to be masculine. It's He-Man. Yeah. It's not funny. Like we're laughing at it now, but when they created it, they were like, boys will like He-Man.
yeah,
You know, they're not going to sit around and laugh at it. So now let's take the thing that is purposed toward ultimate overly masculine and let's try to turn it into some other message. It's just again, it's not whether they should have or shouldn't have. It just has a problem inherent with trying to make that happen.
And they just furthered the problem, in my opinion. Like, they could have... Okay, I have no idea how to solve this problem. So it's like, I'm only critiquing it and being like, no, it didn't work. But I imagine that they could have sat there in their meetings before they write the script, and there's just like a ton of different ways they almost went, and they could have been like, no, here's a value. Regardless of whether I agree with it or not, they could have just gone that way. So, for example, the character, Adam, whatever his last name is, Adam Man.
Adam, I forget what it was too.
So he's a human resources. He grows up. Everyone around him thinks he's crazy, and that he's dealing with the trauma of his parents dying, tragically. So he makes up these stories and loses himself in drawing pictures about Ram Man and Mechaneck and all this type of stuff. And then he's a human resources, counselor who's obsessing about swords. Yeah. So it's like, and the counselor is like, it's a very real problem. They're like, oh, okay, you are obsessing about swords. So no problem. You can kind of do that, but you need to like learn to not bring that into work. Right. And there's a very, I would think that this would be a positive message for a person to receive, which is, listen, whatever thing that gets you by, video games, Magic, The Gathering, trading card game, getting really into swords, great. But to be a true human or man or whatever you want to be, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to learn to work at some point. You got to learn to set these things aside. And if you're traumatized, I understand, but you can't be looking at swords obsessively while you're at work. It would be like a really positive message. But then the message was the opposite. The message was, no, he actually is He-Man, which is true of the story, inherent to the story. But it's like, and the human resources people are kind of the bad guys who are like, oh, trying to get me to work,
and they're like made fun of,
and they're made fun of.
Everything they do within HR is like, that's lame.
Yeah, everything about, like, they were saying things like, I believe in myself, or I don't remember what their mantra was, but it's like good things, like good things that like people need to get by. Yeah. Yeah, they're just making fun of that, and they were like, no, he really needs to like be into his swords, so much so that he should take the phone call, get fired, lose his job, and then go off into fantasy land.
And he did. And he was right.
And it was right. And so it's just like, okay, I guess that route's gone. What's the next route that we're going to go off of?
Yeah. I was thinking about this as I was watching it, because I've been thinking about us talking about what's a perfect movie, and 3-act structure, and just like story structure in general, and how there was no inciting incident there felt like there was no meaningful inciting incident in this, because the incident was the beginning. It was just part of his like telling the backstory, and then him trying to get back there. So there was no like call to adventure, and I had that as a major issue of, at least that I feel like the story would have been massively improved and his character would have been massively improved if instead of him being like, I need to get back, where's my sword, I need to get back, there being more of like a call to adventure that he's hesitant about, or he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to go back there. There's trauma there. I'm ignoring that. And then there's a character who comes back and it's like, you need to be who you are, like the Lion King type thing. Like, you need to be who you are. And so then he's called into it, forced into it, and then he accepts that. And it's not about what does a man do or not do. And it's more about like, what do I need to do? Who am I? And what have I been called to do? But instead it was this weird, you're going right into, he wants to go back and save, he wants to go save his planet. And we're just watching him try to get through obstacles the whole time. There's no arc that he had. There's no arc, really. There's nothing for him to learn.
Yeah, he didn't learn much. And then he also, not only did he not learn much, but he was like desperately needy for like validation that he's not crazy. Like multiple times, he's like, I wasn't the crazy one. Then he like, the spaceship comes and he's like yelling out to everybody. He was just really insecure about having his fantasy or, being from another world. So there wasn't a character arc. And he also was just displaying the types of things that are like, oh, you're a crazy person and you're really insecure about, that you came from this other planet and you're insecure when you're on that planet. And they didn't change.
And that threw me off too. This isn't exactly what we're talking about, but right away when he's on this date and we're meeting him and it's years, he's been on Earth
15
for
years.
15 years. Yeah. And I'm supposed to go, he hasn't adjusted enough in life to know when I'm on a date, people are going to think I'm crazy. Like,
well, this was
he goes, she asked me where I was from. What am I supposed to say? It was like,
well,
all right, whatever. I can get, goes back to like, what kind of movie was it? It's like, I can suspend my disbelief to a degree, but it did feel like there's elements here. There's a great movie to be found here. It is interesting. It's fun for people who like fantasy. That idea of you were lost and there's a sword, like the King Arthur type sword or Theseus or whatever. That's all cool. And it's like the bones of what could make up something great. But instead, the bones made up Skeletor instead of
Well, there was also, I think there's just a little bit of like a save the cat type of problem where like, yeah, there's just not much likable about him. I think the movie was almost trying to get to a place where it's like, see, he's not like masculine in these ways, but he's got like strengths in these areas. But then they didn't show the other areas of strength. Like he's like kind of dancing when he's supposed to be fighting. But it's like kind of like, it's not like, oh, you've got these other strengths.
And he wasn't good at talking it out. Like
every time he was never good at talking it out. Like, he wasn't good at like anything else, like music or like, really anything. He was, and to your point with the not adjusting, he just did kind of seem dumb. Like a lot of times there was things where he was just like, oh, what? Like, oh my God, what? It's like, oh, you're just, he'd be like, oh, please stop shooting at me. Like there's this moment where it's like, you just don't, it's just like kind of painful to watch you. And these are, we're supposed to kind of be, I think we're supposed to be laughing at the different things you're saying that are, it's like Jar Jar Binks-ish. Yeah. It's honestly felt like that. Like where it's just like, okay, part of you is just dumb.
Yeah.
Like that's like part of your character.
Yeah.
And it's not, oh, you're not masculine. You're maybe a more effeminate man and that's okay because your strengths are in this way or whatever. It was like, no, you're not masculine. You're just not anything. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it really felt like I like what you're saying about the save the cat thing, because now I'm trying to like put together the different things we're saying and be like, what movie could we have created? Because I'm thinking about how I mentioned, what if he was this person who didn't want to go back, but he was called back, and there's all these reasons.
Yeah,
and we could have seen his heart be good, and like he has the heart of, let's say, a prince, like a traditional prince of like, he's valiant and courageous, but he wants nothing to do. He's convinced himself it's not real. And his therapist, he's worked with this therapist and he doesn't even believe it. And then finally he gets called into it and it's like, okay, yeah, I got to go become who I was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's almost
that would
like,
be a cool movie.
100%. Almost like Moana, where it's like he goes the traditional path of what oftentimes men think is masculine, which is all about duty and responsibility, which is, you know, obviously really good things in life, but he's so like into that he doesn't allow himself any sense of adventure or any, you know, he's like, oh, that's a boyish thought. And it becomes like, oh, I want to be more manly, which is more robotic. And he needs to embrace a more, you know, the parts of him that are still about being a man, which is, you know, seeking adventure. And then the sword is presented to him, but he's like, no, that's not the sword from my, you know, childhood drawings or whatever. And that could just be the whole, you know, I don't know. I'm not even saying that I agree that that's a great message. It's just like, it's easily a message that men could receive.
Yeah. And it's so easy. I was thinking about this because, you know, with the podcast, we're going to critique, hopefully, tons of movies. And it's so easy to criticize a movie after it's been made, rather than like you get the screenplay in your hand and you're like, there's a bunch of problems here. I read it and we need to change all of these things. But at the same time, I do think that the problems in this movie could have been pointed out from an early stage. I mean, like this, your whole the whole way you're going about this is not just working. So I'm curious. I guess I'm curious what you think did work, like unchanged. Like,
well, there's just a couple jokes worked, you know, like the jokes where I don't remember at what point there's like a flashback of him, the teacher's showing his drawing to the class and he's like, look at this Ram Man, and then all the students, like in the most comedic way, are like, bah! Like dying laughing at him.
Even when I see stuff like that though, like I thought it was incredibly hilarious, but I was like, do they know we're all going to think that this is funny? Or am I laughing at what they were trying to do? Like, were they just realistically being like, oh, and then we'll have a scene where it was sad for him?
I think that they
do. You think they knew?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
well, you and I were the only ones who laughed.
Oh, that is true. I was trying to hold back my laughter.
So then I'm like, I don't know if they realized how funny this was, which is the worst kind of thing. But that was hilarious. And a lot of the jokes that were okay. Sorry, we're trying to say good things about it. I was going to go on and say more bad things, but what else did you feel like was good?
I'm struggling. You might have to. I do want to be like, you know, positive about it, but I struggled most. Skeletor, I thought, was one of the best parts of it. Yeah. I didn't think he was great, but it was. Some of the gags in it were enjoyable. They're kind of funny, and I just, you know, the different. There's something that's true of, you know, boyish, you know, playing guys, that whole ideology, which is like the goofy, you know, the goofy guys. It's like, oh, I mecha neck, like I have my neck, you know, I hit people with my neck, and it's hilarious, and it's kind of cool.
Man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's dumb, man. I don't know, it's kind of fun. And all the bad guys, the guy who has all the spikes on his back. Yeah, so the action wasn't cool action, but it was fun. There was a lot of fun things, and
the
Idris
flying
Elba
scene was pretty fun when he was hanging from his speeder and jumped up. And
I didn't really like.
You didn't like that at all? I guess I was just looking forward to, because I saw in the trailer that he like grabs the thing and throws it, and I was like, yeah, he's so powerful. When like the spinning saw was toward him and he grabs it.
Yeah, there's just so many gags that they riddled throughout that just made I was really cringing a lot. Like. He's on and this goes back to him, his inherent in his character was that he was dumb. That was what they were, I don't know. He's like flying the enemy thing, doesn't realize they're in a battle. And then Idris Elba's like, hey, like, watch out, there's guys behind you. And he's like, and he like waves to them. Like, it's just like, oh, this is so I mean, it's just silly. I guess is what it's trying to
It's
be.
like kids, kids would think it's funny.
Yeah, and the kids behind us were laughing.
Yeah, you're
and
right. They were.
The guy down in front was clapping. So, you
So
know,
awful.
and obviously the Rotten Tomatoes is really high. Like, I don't want to be. I really, when I watch a movie that's not for me, this is for kids, I really try to get into that mindset. But I struggled with this one a lot.
I think
don't
because
wanna be
there were
overly
so
critical.
many conversations whenever it would slow down that seemed to be hinting at a message, and it was so muddled, and I'm still not clear on what the writer was wanting to say. Maybe the writer had something and then it just got like processed like
Yeah.
like
Well-
meat over the course of the following months, and then it turned into, because that happens with movies. And then the writer's probably like, shoot, like this is not what I wanted in the first place.
Well,
But
they also just did. I don't know how to do this. You know, they lifted up certain ideas and then they just destroyed them at the same time. So they're like, for example, it's like, oh, the roommate's watching The Notebook. It's like they're kind of like bending the gender thing here. It's like, oh, can a man watch The Notebook and cry, which I love, and so it's like, okay, so they're like, oh, that's happening, and then he's like totally ashamed. It's like, oh, I'm not doing this,
yeah.
and you know, and then they do, you know, more of that when they're like, oh, all the times they talk about feelings. They're like, okay, so
feelings?
so they're trying to talk about their feelings and they're clearly trying to like lift it up, but then it's just a joke. So they're just doing the opposite. They're just being, he's like, how are your feelings? And then he's like, ew, this is weird. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then they don't talk about their feelings, which is like, okay, most men, I know I do, like need to like learn how to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would be a positive thing for me to learn. I can't imagine them putting it on the screen and it going well. So I'm not critiquing in that I don't know what they should have done, but they were like,
Well, if they didn't make it in a joking way, there could have been times where like he shares what he's thinking.
yeah, he's really scared.
Or
He's
Idris
actually-
Idris Elbus, he's learning that and he shares how he's feeling and something that's real and wrong.
Yeah. And he could have been like, oh yeah, I always pretend that I'm not afraid of anything, but I'm scared or I'm sad, or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like when he's doing the training at the beginning, it could have been so much like, be a man, don't be afraid. Like they wanted to go that route for that message. I think most of me though is like, I didn't want a strong message with this. I wanted the message to be more with any King Arthur story. Like, or I was thinking about just other things, and like there's the Theseus in Greek mythology where he brings this, you know, the sword and the sandals, I think, to his father, or obviously there's like Thor, like finding the hammer in a cave and he's worthy of it. And so then what does that look like? Or we even like fast forward to like the Thor movie and like Thor comics where he gets cast out and he needs to become worthy to grab it. And that worthiness is not in his strength because he's stripped of strength. But you don't even need a message that's super strong. Well, okay, you don't need a message that's super strong about gender in this story just because he's called He-Man. It seems like they got caught up on that. Like, well, this used to be this, so this. But instead, just tell me a story and just show me him stepping into responsibility, moving toward virtue, instead of feeling like being a man needs to be one thing or another thing.
Yeah, I knew that it was going to be about gender, about what it is to be a man. You know, it just was so obvious that they were going to go that direction. It would be fine if they did what you're saying, but it did seem like they were going to be like, oh, this is a childhood boyish toy about what I want to become when I want to become a man. I want to be a man with big muscles. And then lo and behold, you grow up and you're not a man with big muscles wielding a sword. You know, it's just that's what life is.
Yeah.
And so then it just seems like they, you know, if they didn't give something about that, then it would be like, oh, you need to give something.
Yeah.
And they clearly tried. And I think that they did the opposite of good.
They at least were, it was very confusing.
Yeah.
At least in the Barbie movie, they just kind of had that place where it's like, all right, you're just saying the message, so it's not unclear.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's exactly what we said. It's the
which
IP
I don't.
itself.
By the way, I don't like that in movies generally when they just speak the message, especially for 3 or 4 minutes straight. But if they would have done that in this movie, I at least would have known what their point was. Instead, it was like many 30 to 60-second moments of confusing conversations.
Well, of about like, oh, maybe this is what it is to be a man. No, let's just make fun of that. That's dumb. And then it's like the opposite. It just encourages, it's confusing what it is to be a man.
Yeah.
And we're going to make fun of you no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Okay, I was actually thinking about this, and I wanted to add it on. Like, I wish we would have added it to the conversation we had on pressure, because it was the most personally, like, it was the most lasting message that I received from that movie, which is, whether it's about being a man or not, being a human, a virtue, was what the main character in Pressure did, which was, I don't know what's going to happen. No one knows, because it's something as difficult to predict as the weather. Literally, nobody can know. Yeah. But I believe blank for now, and I'm not going to give in to and be a yes man and to whatever the pressure that you're giving to me is. I'm responsible for speaking the truth of what I think about, and I might be wrong. And then they were constantly, is that really going to happen? And then you say, no, I don't know. Yeah. Who can know? No, but this is really what I believe right now. And I might change my mind, but I'm going to bravely and courageously try to speak what what I think is true. Mm-hmm. And that was like I think that's like an incredible message to, like, an example of, what it is to be a human, but like, if, what it is to be a man. And I felt like in a certain sense, it's not that this movie could have done that, but I do think that there's something to the confusing nature of what it is to be masculine in this day and age, when traditional masculine things like protecting, protecting from, there's not a lot of things that are, that I need to become strong in order to protect.
Yeah, unless you're in the military and going overseas, you don't living life in the way that for most of history you were having to be ready to be a warrior.
So I don't know. I was just thinking about that, and I guess I'm just contrasting. I think that's a really powerful message, even for our day and age. It affected me a lot, because there's a lot of things that I don't know about. I don't know if I was tasked with giving a movie about what it is to be masculinity in this, I'd be like, I'm not sure. But man, the guy in Pressure, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I really just keep coming back to, I feel like so much of what being a man or being a woman, like being an adult, it's almost more about just like, what does it mean? Like when you call someone like you're acting like a boy, or be a man, it's not like be masculine. It's like, don't be a child.
Yeah, it's not don't be a girl.
Yeah, don't be a girl. Be an adult. And to me, that would be a story about stepping into responsibility and not fearing, whether it's a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and specifically some of the things that he did that were very boyish all the way to the very end, which I'm just giving more critique, which is like when Idris Elba's character, like at the very end, I can't remember the exact line, so I'm going to kind of butcher it, but when he was like, he's like, how'd I do? So he's like clearly really wanting this affirmation from him. And he's like, you did great. And he's like, And he's like, technique could use a little work. And he's like, classic, everything you always used to say.
There it is.
Yeah. And it's just like, you can't take even the slightest bit of criticism. It's the ultimate boyish thing. Like, no growth as a character. You still, to the very end, were wanting your growth to come from a magical sword, which turned you without any work. You didn't do any of the work in the gym that Dolph Lundgren was trying to help you do. You just got your sword, performed what you thought you wanted, and then you wanted praise for it, and you couldn't take the slightest bit of criticism. It's like, wow, this is terrible. Yeah. All the way into the end, and this isn't exactly on that point, but it's just like, and then at the very end, they're all asking what names he gave people, and then they ask what name he gave himself. And he's like, you're going to make fun of me. Like, no, we're not going to make fun of you. He-Man. And then they just die laughing.
Worse than I thought.
It's just like, and then they're all laughing at the intellectual property. So it's just like a bad marketing move. It feels like it's like, okay, I guess you're trying to like make fun of yourself first, but I don't know.
That is funny with this movie because even if it's like it failed at the box office, what they're really wondering is like, how many toys am I going to sell with this movie? It's not really just about the box office. Like, did it make enough to where my toy sales will make up for what's left? And I don't know. I didn't go away from it being like, I can't wait to get my son a He-Man toy. So you don't have any sons, but how would you feel bringing a son? I have 3 sons, so I'm thinking about like myself taking them, but how do you feel like you would feel about bringing, okay, if we went together and I brought the boys, what would you be thinking about like for them?
I would be thinking about like what kind of message they're getting from it. Yeah. And specifically it's like, okay, because the character didn't grow, like in every movie, the character he grows, he's just like, oh, you, in some way that everyone would kind of agree, you grew. But this character, it's like, oh, he didn't grow even when he was still like whiny when he had the muscles. The only thing he did was at the very end, he again, we talked about this, but he tried to talk to Skeletor in a super naive way. Like, where you'd be like, okay, it's like, it is good to talk things out, but obviously not in this scenario. This is the type of scenario that
go and defeat the evil.
Yeah, you have to defeat the evil one.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well then maybe at least you'll give mercy. No, not even that.
He did it backwards.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I just don't. So I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm not going to take my kid and every single thing has to have this super perfect positive message. But I definitely would be like,
I only hesitate to take my kids to something where it's like, this movie is trying to give a message. It's trying to say a message. And with this movie in general, I don't feel like I can even address what the message is with them. Like, I can't be like, so it was saying this, because I don't even know what it was saying. So it doesn't, again, it's not that I would never show them the movie necessarily. I wouldn't, because I think it was a boring, kind of not cool movie. And I think they would kind of think it was dumb too. But yeah, I wouldn't know how to address what they're trying to say. I guess having a dialogue with them about it would be interesting though. However, I'm going back to, or I was thinking about what are they trying to say, because it seemed like what's the final I'm learning, or the final epiphany before the climax that allows the character to defeat the evil. And it was him with the sword in him and her going, it's not the sword. The power is in you, which I feel like if they were looking at it and they were looking at the screenplay, does this make sense? The whole movie, he was after the sword, which he did need. He did need the sword to get back, but let's ignore that and say they're just looking past that and being like, this whole movie, he thought the sword was all that he needed. And then now we're having the final moment and he got stabbed by, like, the sword stabbed him. Ooh, cool. Like, that's kind of like poetic. But he doesn't even need it. Like, the sword killed him, but now he has new life because he's got control over the sword. The problem is that message of like the power is in you, not in the sword, it didn't have anything to do with any other message. Nothing at all. It was like, oh, there's like a general kind of like postmodern message coming out of nowhere. And okay, but the movie wasn't talking about the power being within.
Yeah, it's like one of a really positive version of that type of message is Encanto, where it's specifically being, one of the main keys of the whole movie, represented by the absolute climax, is your giftings are great, but you aren't your gifts. You are like, it's you yourself. You are the gift, and you have this inherent value that's not just your skills and wisdom and knowledge and whatever the things that you bring to the table, which is just, I think that's a fantastic message. Like your inherent identity.
Giving me chills just thinking about it. I know. When she walks through her family at the end, and touches the door of the whole house.
Yeah,
lights up.
It's incredible. I'm getting chills too.
Yeah, it's one of the great movies ever.
So there, absolutely. It's like, okay, if that's the thing that they were trying to do, it's like, it's what you're saying. It's like, okay, they're trying to get to this powers in you. The problem is that message is it does require a little bit of nuance. Like you can take, and there's plenty of movies that kind of like give the message, and you can be like, okay, I'm great just because I'm great, and there's nothing that I have to do. Like honestly, what I would receive from this movie is, well, why is he? What kind of power does he have? It's just like, oh, he's just. You don't have to work. You don't have to try. It's like you just kind of are amazing, and it's complicated because everyone is, so valuable and worthy, and you do have to have that like, inherent worth, that feeling that's a self-worth. But he was so insecure all the way to the end and beyond. So then it was like, okay, what do you mean the power's in you?
Yeah, he didn't become confident, except for in his conversation with Skeletor. Like, he was confident talking to him.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he was still kind of, like, embarrassed and, like, yeah.
And it really, it is interesting because kids' movies do have messages all the time. It's like, Thor has the same, Thor's like half kids' movie, half, but it has the same message where he's like, oh, he doesn't need his hammer, because he's got the power, the power of lightning is in him and whatever, and his dad's telling him, and I don't know, it's like, I'm not sure if that's saying a message about self-worth or if it's something that really applies to anyone else. Well, I'm not Thor, so I don't know if that applies to me. But my point is other kids' movies, they do have messages. This felt like it was like, there's messages. They're talking about it. Is that what it is to be a man? This is what it is to be a man. They're saying those words over and over again. So it's like, okay, that's why me and you, I feel like, are talking about the message, because that is what the movie is. It's like, what was the movie about? I don't know. It was about a message. I guess it was about Skeletor not getting the sword, because the good guys have the sword most of the time. I don't know. It's like, as far as the plot goes, it's just kind of like, we're just going. Yeah. But we're definitely uncovering what it is to be a man. That's what we're after here.
Yeah.
And we're not getting there.
Yeah,
we're definitely not.
We don't know at all.
No.
Yeah. We don't even know what it is to be a human. We have
No.
You didn't teach
man,
anything
woman,
about life
anything
at all.
Boy, child, father, mother. Yeah, the mother had no character. The father had essentially no character.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. How would you rate it out of 10? It got worse as we talked, in my mind.
Yeah, I just didn't. I would never want to see it again. The music was kind of fun, and
I had multiple scenes where I was like, how would you score this? Like, the music was going, and I was imagining like the person doing the music being like, what's the tension here? Like when they were all, that was another, I verbally like exhaled, and like I was putting my hand in my face multiple times, which I don't usually do because I feel like that's so offensive to all the people that put work into it, which takes a ton of work. But it was painful in multiple times. And one of those times was when he was giving the speech to everybody. And it was like the speech was kind of supposed to be lame, but then moments of it, he was actually kind of getting people, but the speech was still lame. And it was just so unclear how you were supposed to feel the whole time. And so the music was like, dun, 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 like, yeah. And then it actually led to them breaking out. So it felt like, okay, well, was that supposed to be meaningful? And it also feels like one of those moments in movies where it's like he has learned something, and so now he's giving a speech based on what he's learned. Like, and then you go out and you act out of that thing that you learned. But there was just none of that. It was like, we can do it together.
Yeah. I mean, how difficult it is to make a parody action movie. I mean, it wasn't a parody, but
that was the problem. It tried to be
It's just got to be so difficult. Yeah. It's like you think of the Thor Love and Thunder. They tried to do what Ragnarok. They killed it with Ragnarok, and then they flopped. Same director, same actors, and more, and they flopped. It's like, it's got to be incredibly difficult. I can imagine. To their credit, it's just like, that's got to be so tough. And to be like, okay, well, let's get people into, they care about the stakes, but we also want to be funnies, and we also recognize this is a little goofy, so we're going to be self-deprecating, we're going to be self-aware, but whoops, we were too self-aware. It's going to be so difficult.
So what do you think that they should have done as far as tone wise?
I don't know. But I was, yeah, it's just, I think what would have worked better for me is picking a lane. Sometimes you can switch lanes. I think you can drop little jokes in it even while it's, so for example, if they did that speech and it was a little bit more, like, I think that speech could have been inspiring, and he could have been like, you could be laughing at like Mech and Neck, whose head is like this kind of goofy.
Yeah.
I think both could probably happen at the same time. And then they break out and they start coughing. It's a little bit funny that it was all dusty and they start coughing.
That was funny. And then it stopped being funny.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong that you couldn't have done both, but I think you could have, they needed to lean a little bit more into grounding it in reality. Like, oh, we actually care about this. Not every single, there's people in your life that they can't even be serious for a moment. And it's like, oh, come on, man. Like, be serious for a moment. And that just felt like the movie. Like, it was like, oh, the father, Tila, it was hugging your dad for the one time. And then our main character, Adam, comes and hugs them both. And they're like, it's just, you just ruined the moment. And it's not really even that funny. The joke's not that, it's just kind of like, you're just so unserious that actually it's one of the worst male qualities that many men have, myself included, which is using humor to redirect from pain and anything serious or emotions. And it's like, oh, that movie just did that the whole time. This is the opposite, the worst thing that many men probably do, which is be funny when you need to be serious.
Yeah.
And or feel something. And it's like, oh, they just did that the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about the speech moment, because there are a lot of movies where the speech actually matters, but then funny things happen during the speech and it's kind of silly, and then the speech continues. I feel like that happens in a lot of animated movies where everyone's gathered together and then someone will be like, just a silly character will say something silly and you'll chuckle, but then move on, and it's like, that was meaningful. And this was definitely not that. It failed on a lot of levels. I feel like they should have, this is just preference, but I just feel like they should have gone more serious. It's like, okay,
they didn't have to go that much more serious, just a little bit more.
Sure, yeah, but yeah, and I'm not necessarily wanting them to be way more serious, but I do think if they were like, let's just make this serious, and there's some funny moments in it, but we're not going to do parody. We're just going to do like, this is a cool thing, and we do all the other things we talked about him being called to adventure and stepping into responsibility, and like the fantasy elements are cool, and it's like the fighting is cool, and they kind of nail every story moment. It's like, that would sell better, because it would just be a better movie. If they, again, they would still have to do it well, but they wouldn't be shooting themselves in the foot by constantly making you not understand what kind of movie you're even watching.
Yeah, I feel like if I was writing it, I would have the temptation to do what they did, though, because to make a serious movie and then flop would feel more painful than like, oh, we weren't even trying in the first place, which is what happened. Like, it's just like, sure. Oh, you just seemed like you were trying to joke about how dumb this movie is, and then made a dumb movie.
And yes, to their, I don't know if I would have foreseen ahead of time to do any different than what they've done, because they are looking at it's a stupid toy line. It is like, let's do He-Man. That's immediately dumb. And then like, let's have a cartoon about it. Who's the bad guy? It's Skeletor. He's going to talk like this. It's like, that's really stupid. Everyone knows it's stupid. So how do we make a movie out of it? But if you look at the on-screen adaptations over time, because there was also the Masters of the Universe, I think in like 2011, there was even a show that came out for it. And that was more serious than all of the iterations before it. So why not just let the stupid lore develop into something that actually is kind of cool? And you can still call him He-Man, and you can maybe have it be like kind of silly because it's what he did as a child, but then it just is who he is, and you just accept that a kid made it up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just leaned into, I'm taking a left turn here. I'm agreeing with everything, but they just really did lean into like, it's really funny. It's like actually really funny to me that they leaned into some of the worst male tendencies, specifically in this movie, about what it is to be a man, because they just did so many really it just didn't work, like sexual innuendos that were just like painful.
A bunch of times.
Like there's like, okay, it's a kid's movie and you're leaning so hard into the sexual innuendos in the worst of ways.
Double entendres.
Yeah, it's just like, ooh, like.
Yeah, that was painful.
Yeah.
And some of it was like, wow, this is like graphically inappropriate. Yeah. Like all the stuff they were doing with the different, henchmen and their nicknames that he gave them was just like, gee whiz. Like, I guess you're going, well, kids won't understand it, which they didn't. I'm sure most of the kids didn't. Well, I don't know with iPhones nowadays, but hopefully they didn't understand a lot of it.
It's just hilarious to me to be like, oh, you guys are like just doing the worst male tendencies and you're just doing them instead of trying to teach the opposite of it. Like,
it's just hard for me when it's like, that's like a really like, I don't know, messed up thing to be joking about.
Yeah, didn't really work.
So did I ask out of 10? I think I did, but you didn't tell me. What would you give it?
I feel like after I left the theaters, I'd be like 4 out of 10. After we talked just now, I'm like, I like talked myself into
like
way
a 0.
lower.
It's like a negative out of 10.
I don't know. Like, I guess it's like fun it's like fun in the way, and maybe they were trying to do this of like seeing a really bad 80s movie that's got cool action and fantastical things in it. Like some of I liked the different characters that were goofy and silly. And, man, they even did it like what they did with He-Man himself, Adam, whatever, of being like, dweeby. They did it with the cat too. Like the cat was talking and they just had the worst personality. Like he was like, oh, don't make me go. Don't make me wait.
Yeah. And then she's like, don't be a, wuss.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, oh, this is dumb jokes. And, I'm really trying to think of what types of other movies have this is exact type of humor that they were going for, where it's like, okay, he's clearly a manly man, but inside, it's not that he's a girl, it's not that he's a boy, he's just not a manly man. And the only thing I can think of is in Jumanji, the more recent ones, when they all are body swapping, and then Dwayne Johnson is played by who? Is he played by? He's actually a girl, or he's a
boy. I think the only gender swap.
But he's like a weak. He's like
he's like a weakling.
And it was kind of like clumsy.
Yeah,
and that's like the closest I can think of. And I felt like they did a decent job of it.
Well, and that's more interesting again because it's an actual dweeb being put in a manly man's body, similar to like how Shazam is like a boy being put into a man's body. Like that's an interesting trope.
And he's got this, and he's got this, he's really manly, but then he's like really,
awkward.
And it's just like, the main character, when he's not He-Man, it's like, dude, you're so, I don't know if women would think he's good looking. It's like, oh, you just look like you're really good looking with a really great haircut and you're jacked. And then they put you in the gym and you're like, seem like you can't do anything, but it's like, I can tell you're huge, dude. So it's like,
when his shirt gets ripped off and it shows his muscles growing, it was like, they're just growing into what they already looked like.
Yeah. No, they show his muscles before they start growing, and he's like got a 6-pack and huge muscles, and then they just grow a little bit. It's like, okay. Which, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it would still work, but it's just like, if you just had like a Michael Cera character who was like, I'm trying to be like He-Man, it's like, it'd be hilarious. Yeah. But you have a character who is He-Man, looks like He-Man, and then he's like acting like, whoa, like I'm weak and I've got bad hand-eye coordination. It's like, no, you don't. Yeah. I could tell. You're like, you're a total jock. And I don't know.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was an interesting story too, because of the source material they were working with. Like this whole idea of him going to Earth and not knowing who he is, but him getting stranded on Earth. That's not like in the comics. From my understanding, it's not in the comics. It's not in the show. So it was totally added. If I'm wrong, I feel bad. But from what I understand, it was just totally a new story. And it was like, okay, so you decided to have him get banished to Earth and put him in all this situation we're talking about, and then you just did it off in a terrible way. Like you had a good idea. Like the idea, I think, of having him escape to Earth and then needing to like find his way back, or at least is it Eternatus? Eternius, whatever. That place needing him, maybe they come and get him. Like I was saying, that's a cool idea, but then they just, I think, ruined it.
Yeah. There's just a lot of really like, I don't know if it's like sophomoric or
moronic,
what I'm trying to say. Little tiny mistakes that like, it just makes me, it's like, she flies in to show him what the kingdom has turned into. And then you are assuming, you're like, oh, she can fly around over there apparently and not get caught. Yeah. And then it's like, so I'm like, okay, I'm learning, like, I guess it's safe to fly there. But then it's like, immediately it's like, no, she's not.
And she ruined their 15-year hiding space.
Yeah, she ruined their yeah. So it's like, okay, they found her ship because she flew too near to it and then led them back to where they all are. And so it's just like little things like that. It's like what you said when we were talking about way earlier, where it's like, you know, you're trying to suspend your disbelief, but it's like, if the characters are just constantly making dumb mistakes that they get themselves into, I'm just like, I don't know what, I just hate that. I don't know. You grow more critical of the movie as that type of stuff happens. Obviously, there's probably many movies that you get caught up into it in the first hour and it does a really good job, and then they make dumb mistakes, but you're just kind of caught in. You're like, okay, it's fine. I'm not critiquing it, but when they make so many, it's like, I can only suspend my disbelief so much. And I can only be like, I'm offering credit to the main character because it's the main character. I'm like, I'm giving you credit. Yeah. It's similar to Pressure, what we talked about last time with the whole save the cat thing. Like it's like, okay, the character kind of is a jerk, but I'm giving you credit because I want to like the movie. So I'm giving you, I've got like this much that I can just give for free because you're the main character. Yeah. And then once we get out of that, then I'm going to start being like really struggling.
Yeah.
And it's like with this movie, it was like, oh, I'm out. Now I'm just here in the movie theater watching stuff and laughing at the kids behind me and the guy in front of me clapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm still having fun, but I'm kind of ready to be done.
Yeah. I'm kind of ready to be done talking about this stupid movie.
No, it's fun to talk. It's fun to critique it.
It is fun.
But I do feel bad. I really do like, I don't like to be overly critical. I don't think that I could make a better movie. Like I
think that if you read that screenplay, you would have pointed out all those problems.
I'm sure they had notes too.
I really think that it probably got hacked. I bet I bet when the writer wrote it, it made a lot more sense. And then I bet over time,
the studio.
I mean, you've got Mattel in there, you've got Amazon in there, you've got MGM Studios in there, all these people who are, and then they're probably putting it in front of like focus groups.
Yeah.
I bet it.
Well, one of the things comes down to is I feel like the tone of humor, self-deprecating humor, self-aware humor, and mixing that with action and drama is something that like Marvel, for example, has done incredibly and difficultly. And they were going for that. It's not an easy thing to do. It's extremely difficult to get that tone. So it's like, I can't imagine writing something that's both a little bit self-serious, but then self-aware so that the audience isn't like, oh, you guys are like trying too hard. And yes, it's like, I don't know what to say other than, wow, Marvel, you guys are incredible at this.
Yeah. It's really hard in reading a screenplay to know exactly how humor will play. So I think reading some of those jokes and maybe the writer, like let's say you're sitting with the writer and you're kind of like, I don't understand this. And he kind of says it and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that could be funny. But I do think that if you read the whole screenplay and you thought, what's the message here? You would have been able to be like, this is problematic.
Yeah, but there's also so many where it's like, okay, if a joke is bad enough, it does hurt. It's painful to watch. So for example, where what was it? He's trying to explain to all of the like main guys,
like the other masters of
masters of the universe. He's trying to explain why he's the son of the king and who he is, and everyone's like, what? I think it's in this scene. I can't remember if it's this scene or a different one. He's making a fool of himself. He's
Where he pulls out his card.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. It's totally not that scene. It's when he's in the trading card shop, the nerdy shop, and he's pulling the sword out, and the one woman is standing there being like, stop, you can't do that. And it's kind of funny. He's pulling it in weird, goofy ways, and it's a little bit of physical shtick, but it's not that funny. And the woman's really annoyed, like, get out of my shop. And so he does the thing. He's like, I have the power. Doesn't work for reasons I don't know why it didn't work then, but then later, who knows? And then as he's leaving, she goes, "Are you single?" Yeah. And it's just like, what? I don't understand it. It's just painful. It's like, what do you? And I did feel like there was a lot of this stuff that was.
And
just
isn't this the guy who we're supposed to think is kind of dweeby and lame?
Yeah. Why would he? I don't understand.
Because he is attractive, and everybody knew it. Everybody knew he was cool.
I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of that was just like when the joke's bad enough, it really does hurt. It like it physically hurts. It's like I just can't keep going.
I wish I could remember the scenes where I was in physical pain. There was 2 separate times where I was like, this is really difficult to sit through, which I don't feel that often in movies, but this was pretty bad.
I don't know, dude. The one there was a couple though good ones though.
There was,
when he takes the flask out of his armor, it's attached to his armor. He's like, well, what do we have here? You like think he's gonna stop being alcoholic, and his daughter's like really upset with him the whole time, and he's like, it's so funny. It's another male tendency thing that they fully made light of.
Addiction,
alcoholism. Yeah. And then his daughter's so rightly annoyed with him. And you're like, man, she's so annoyed with him, but he's not drinking or anything. He's trying to do better. And then you're like, oh, she was right. He's like, well, we deserve to celebrate. Like, we just had a big win.
He goes, let's crack open a few. As if there's like bottled beer.
He's like, come on, sit down with me. Well, what? Oh.
And then she goes, no, and she leaves. He goes, more for you and me. Do you remember that?
Yes. And yeah, it's just like, wow, that's so funny. I really do feel like the more we talk about this, the more I'm like, this wasn't just no message. This was like, if you could write something that was like, what's a really bad message for men, for young boys to like learn, like make just like sexual jokes. We can hide behind that. Alcoholism, addiction.
Well, maybe that's the thing, is that they do still have the same values as in the 80s when they made He-Man.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get boys.
They're trying to get us back into the old 80s,
that's what
values.
It seems like. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Be a man. Wow. Yeah. All right. Masters of the Universe. There it is.
There it is.
I would not waste your time.